Hi, I'm Arthur, and this is part 14 in a 20-part series I am doing on second founding chapters of Space Marines in Order of the Legions. Do you need to have seen the other videos to understand this one? No, but it would make me happy. Back at it again with a warband, and for those who don't know, Death Guard are one of the most well-researched topics for me. They are pretty close to the top of my favorite factions list, though being beat out by Night Lords, of course. So in choosing a second founding equivalent, I have literally no qualms with just picking one at random, because that's the thing with a lot of Traitor Legion warbands. They are actually just all descended from the main chapter for the most part. So most of them do kind of fit the second founding feel, but after putting in a degree of thought, I realized a good idea would be me covering the Lords of Silence. Why? Because not only are they pretty well regarded and a significant faction of Death Guard in the setting, their Chaos Lord Vorx is so ancient that he himself was on Barbarous before the Emperor showed up, literally one of the first Death Guard to be created from Barbarous. So, before I get into it, who are the Lords of Silence? Aside from having one of the most fucking metal names in the history of the setting, they are predominantly focused on in the book called The Lords of Silence by Chris Raitt, which, if you are a fan of 40k fiction, you should go and read. It's really fucking good. But aside from that, they are a Plague Vectorum of Death Guard, a subsection of the main Death Guard Legion, which is a bit different from being just simply a war band. Essentially, they can go back to the Plague Planet in the middle of the Eye of Terror, meet up with the other Vectorum, and just, trade secrets, record shit, shoot the shit, that kind of stuff. The Plague Planet itself is just Barbarous 2.0 because Mortarion refuses to let go of the past. But some warbands, I think, could probably go back to the Plague Planet, but I don't think most of them can. I think it just has to be Vectorum. I doubt the Purge would be allowed to go there in any case. The individuals of the Lords of Silence don armor that is described as sheets of gray ceramite that have been clogged and coated in grime, disease, and pus so much that they have become green in color, which is pretty cool. It's one aspect of the Death Guard I enjoy most, where because they have so much disease that it ends up changing the color of their original armor. It's kinda common with all Marines who worship a god. Their armor ends up slowly turning to the color of their patron for one reason or another. With Khorne, it's usually because they have white armor and it gets stained red by all the blood. With Tzeentch, it's just Tzeentch likes blue. But I digress. They are more or less emblematic of their parent legion, because, to be honest, they are very Death Guard-y. What do I mean by this? They are slow, they are plodding, they are very much enjoying life to the fullest at every given moment, and it's kinda cool. They raid worlds in order to spread plagues, as the diseases they have nourish their bodies in such a way that they never really have to restock and resupply on anything. I mean, bolt gun ammo, slaves to turn into poxwalkers, and just new scientific thingies to turn into more diseases, but other than that, they don't really need to have, a steady food supply or new weapons, because Nurgle provides them with everything that they need. Very much like the Death Guard, but on a smaller scale. At least in a silly way. One of the myriad reasons I chose to talk about the Lords of Silence is because of their connection to a fun moment in wargaming history. So I remember when GW was releasing a bunch of random character miniatures and giving them either rules or telling us they can be proxied as a captain. Remember this guy? Yeah. I remember being in a call with friends and I saw the announcement, pointed it out, and everybody who wasn't me said something akin to, "Who?" But I know this man, or rather I know his chapter. His entire chapter got completely fucked by the Lords of Silence, and their world was more or less destroyed. It's kind of funny how the lore connects, and you learn things tangentially. I know I bring them up a lot, but because of the Night Lords, I know a bit more about the Marines Errant. Due to the Night Lords and the Red Corsairs fucking raiding their chapter monastery for Gene Seed. It's fun to see that kind of stuff, though. I do believe the White Consuls are in a constant state of, oh shit, oh fuck, everything is on fire, but once again, I digress. The Lords of Silence manage a relatively moderate size of Marines for their Vectorum. Not exactly chapter size, but not exactly on the verge of dying. But that's the thing with Death Guard. One Plague Marine is worth 1.5 regular Space Marines, so I get it. In terms of tactics, they are an incredibly disease and sorcery-heavy faction, choosing to pollute and corrupt the areas they are about to raid before they even show up. Which leads to some of the most genuinely horrifying moments in storytelling I have ever heard from a 40k book. And I have plumbed the depths of mediocrity that is the Warhammer horror catalog. Though, not entirely, I should note. It's one of the reasons I suggest reading this book, because it's honestly the best usage of tonal whiplash I've ever seen, where the book will do about 70% of its chapters from the perspective of the Lords of Silence, and in those chapters, it's pretty chill. It's mostly just them joking around and political intrigue with the inner machinations of the Death Guard as a legion. Vork's, their Chaos Lord, is pretty interesting as an individual, who seems to be pretty level-headed, but that's only because of the matter of being from their perspective. Basically, the other 30 to 40% of the book is from the perspective of the people that encounter the Lords of Silence. It goes from relatively fun political drama with a bit of lighthearted humor to a genuine fucking horror show. One of my favorite encounters is this one cargo ship that has the misfortune of being in the same area as the Lords of Silence, and all their radios went out all at once. But slowly a loud droning noise started to play over the radios, and eventually it's revealed that the droning itself isn't static, it's the sound of buzzing flies. As people start to keel over and die from bleeding that won't stop from every hole they have, eventually real flies begin to swarm the decks of this ship. People begin to choke and cough and gag on them. It's because of this blinding miasma of insects that they didn't notice they have been boarded by the biggest and scariest motherfuckers in the universe. It just cuts to one man crying blood and turning and trying to run to a safe space, only to run into a Terminator-clad 9-foot-tall Plague Marine with a giant fuck you scythe. The chapter then hard cuts and ends. The Lords of Silence are just such an interesting cast of characters with interpersonal conflict and betrayal. This is a Vectorum that you genuinely grow to care for, even though objectively they are the fucking worst. Not even in a Night Lords kind of way. I mean, they genuinely do not do a single good thing in any of the story. They are just the fucking worst things I've ever read about. They spare none unless it's to further some agenda, and even still, they're fucking horrible about it. They are gross, they are smelly. You probably couldn't exist within a kilometer of them without getting something horrible. And to be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way. They are an awesome group of Marines that have a lot of interesting quirks to them, and go to show that you can in fact have a book dedicated to an entire cast of people whom do nothing good. At least a few Night Lords were kind of nice to their slaves. The closest we ever get to this in the Lords of Silence being kind is like them being kind of gentle with Nurglings, but that's about it. I think it's a great warband, and I wish we got more books about the end point of chaos corruption. Just fucking shit and filth everywhere. Everything is sticky and they all have a little bit of depression. What do you think about the Lords of Silence? Cool? Not cool? Think they are a little too samey to the OG Death Guard? Let me know in the comments. Alongside that, make sure to like and subscribe, as it helps me out immensely. And thank you to my channel members for supporting me. And if you want to support me as well as gain access to additional content, then become a channel member today. Thanks again for watching, and until next time.